Welcome to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-hosts, FP Santangelo Jr. and Russell Jackman. Not sure if Vern will join us, but if he does, he does. Today's trivia theme, because we always ask a trivia question at each commercial break, famous NFL games and events. All right, famous ones. And don't worry, we're not going
Thank
back.
God we're leaving baseball.
Yeah, well, I was going to say it's a time to start getting back into football. And
Yeah.
don't
Thank
worry,
God.
there's no questions about Jim Thorpe or those days. All right, when we come back, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Serena Williams, the NFL season preview, Donovan Mitchell to the Cavs, college football. By the way, FP Santangelo provided all of these excellent subjects for us today.
It's almost like it's my job or something to do.
Yeah,
something.
yeah. I know. I'll tell you, this weekend was just a little bit too jam-packed, for Labor Day. A lot of stuff going on actually in college football. And then, did you guys see the Rams-Bengals joint practice brawl? Did you see that?
Joint practices are so dumb.
Yeah,
I don't know why they still do them.
Well, interesting because you had the two Super Bowl teams.
Yeah.
In there, and kind of got a little bit crazy. They didn't say specifically what started it, but there is a little video about the helmets flying and that sort of
Oh yeah,
thing.
Donald swinging his helmet. Yeah, all
Yeah.
that stuff.
Yeah. And then Bronny, LeBron James' son, they're talking about, okay, this is his senior year in high school. So, what's he going to do after that? Yeah. Did they change the rules that you can go right to the pros from high school? I don't remember.
I think you have to stop in the G Leagues
Yeah.
first.
Okay.
Yeah, you can go to the G Leagues for like a year, I believe, or half a season.
Okay, because no more like Kobe Bryant or Sean Kemp or LeBron actually himself. All right, this segment of Sports Econ 101 is sponsored by Pacific Private Money, still providing mortgage investments yielding between 7 to 9%, secured by real estate. Check them out at pacificprivatemoney.com. Don't touch that dial. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here along with FP Santangelo Jr. and Russell Jackman. Okay, so the audience doesn't know that when we cut to a break, FP was mentioning that he's sort of lost his romanticism with baseball.
Well, I just explained to you guys that we should lead off with NFL and college football topics because I've seen the metrics, the numbers, and they just pop, right? I need to know this stuff as a producer, the guy behind the scenes. But yeah, I was explaining to you guys that I know too much about baseball. I know too much about the business side of it that I've kind of lost, that I'm still romantic about baseball, but football is my number one sport just because it feels like I know too much about baseball. And it's funny because I feel like players in baseball are the same way too, because they just know teams are trying to make money and this and that. And I'm not saying NFL teams aren't trying to do that, right?
Sure.
But for me, football is awesome. I get super giddy about football, and I still get giddy about baseball. But right now, to me, it's just football until the playoffs in baseball.
Yeah.
I'm just not. I just don't care about baseball right now until it gets to October. Maybe if there's a good race here and there, I'll tune in.
Sure.
But right now, it's all football. And
A lot of it, I think, FP, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that if you're a fan of a team, there's only one game per week, and that you really have that buildup. Whereas with baseball, with 162 games, you can't get excited about one game in the regular season. It's just no one game means very much.
Well, not only that, but right now, since football is starting, everybody's on the same, everyone's at 0-0, so there's no big advantage yet. And interesting because sometimes you'll hear from former players, no matter what sport it is, they just don't watch their sport.
No,
interesting.
true.
Whereas the average fan is still going crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of people I know that won't watch their sport, whether it's for mental reasons, they kind of don't want to have imposter syndrome, or they just want to focus on themselves. They don't lock into their sport for that reason, but I don't know. Football is it's taken more interest recently in my life, and I really like it. So, I mean, if you want to get into it now, we could talk some football. I have the odds right now. We could do college football, or we could go into the NFL. What do you want to do first?
We'll start off with the NFL since we're kind of right there. Go ahead.
Perfect. All right. So I have the odds, since this is Sports Econ 101, about the favorite to win the Super Bowl this season. Guys, do you want to give me your guess who the favorite is?
Okay, so a lot of times they'll go with the one who won last year, but this year, uh, I don't know. For some reason, the Cowboys are sort of getting sort of in the mix there.
All right. So you got the Cowboys. Russ, what do you got? Are you there, Russ?
Oh, he had. I think he had to take another call. He's driving. He's
Okay.
got some legal issues he's got to deal
No,
with.
okay, I'm here.
Oh, there
I'm
he is.
here.
Okay, who's favorite to win the Super Bowl?
Oh, man. I
And
mean,
don't say
I
the
don't want to
Lions.
sound like a homer, but I'm going to go with the 49ers. I
Ah.
really believe the 49ers, if everything goes behind Trey Lance the way it's supposed to, the Niners are as good a team to get to the Super Bowl and win it as any of the teams out there. And to put my money where my mouth is, I drafted Trey Lance as my starting quarterback.
There you go.
Nice.
Okay,
So I believe.
Okay, guys, I have it right here. The Buffalo Bills are the favorite to win the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah, finally, man. Okay.
And then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Chiefs are tied for 2 with
Yeah.
their odd values. And I'm looking across all the sports books, okay?
Sure.
Then the Rams,
Yeah.
technically at 3. The Packers, the Chargers,
Wow.
the 49ers, and the Broncos.
Interesting.
Not ordered.
The Niners are a possibility. Broncos surprise me as a
Yeah.
pick.
You know, a lot of people are taking the Broncos. They really like Russell Wilson. Apparently, he's got a great arm. It's a very live arm over there in Denver. When you're watching NFL Network or you're watching a lot of these talking heads really get excited about a team, the Broncos really pop. And I think it's really disrespectful to what the Kansas City Chiefs are and what they've done.
Yeah.
I mean, you lose Tyreek Hill, and all of a sudden you think they're going to be horrible. I don't think so. I think the Chiefs are still going to win that conference. So I don't know.
I like the Chiefs' pickup of Juju McSchuster. So I think that they're not going to drop off that much with Hill off the team.
Yeah, I agree. But a lot of people are drinking that Kool-Aid about the Denver Broncos. And, hey, maybe they prove me wrong. But we'll see. They really like the new offensive coordinator over there. They really like the coach. They really like all the receivers around Russell Wilson. Because if you think
they're missing too many pieces.
Yeah, I mean, defensively, they've been pretty good last season. They were just missing, I guess, a guy at quarterback. But I don't know. We'll see. If you guys look around this league, and you will on Sunday or Thursday night or whatever time you're going to tune in to watch football this week, because this is the first week, you're going to see so many different guys on different teams that you're going to go, oh, wait a minute. I forgot that person got traded or he signed.
Yeah.
Like this offseason was probably the craziest offseason in NFL history. And even when I was watching preseason, I was like, oh, yeah, that guy's over there. I forgot Jarvis Landry was with the New Orleans Saints. And then you got Baker Mayfield with the Panthers. And then you got this going on and this going. It's like all these different storylines. So I'm super interested. It's going to be really cool.
But are you telling me that the Lions and the Jaguars are not in that hunt for the Super Bowl?
Elite.
No.
I will not say part of the NFL elite.
I haven't seen this in a while, but the Detroit Lions have better odds to win the Super Bowl than the Chicago Bears.
Wow.
That's fair. That's a fair statement.
No one's even picking the Bengals in there this year, huh?
That's a good point.
Yeah, the Bengals, it looks like they're 11th favorite to win the Super Bowl.
Boy, if I'm Joe Burrow, that's gonna be a chip on my shoulder.
That's a good value pick right there. But yeah, I'm looking at the wins totals for the season. A lot of them are like 11.5 wins over under. I think the 49ers, because we're homers here.
Yeah.
I think they're at 10 wins, so over under 10 wins this season. So it's interesting. It's really cool.
Good.
I'm excited for the football season.
Yeah. Very good. And then let's see here. We got a couple of minutes. College football.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So college football started. Awesome games this weekend. We could get this will be a long discussion, so we maybe
we'll have to in about a minute and a half. We're going to cut to a break. Okay.
Well, let's talk about the big games this weekend, then we'll tease the new playoff format and how this kind of gets involved. Perfect. So you probably saw Notre Dame, Ohio State this weekend. That was a great game. Notre Dame hung tough, right? I was really surprised. I thought Ohio State was going to blow them out. But then if you watch the other big game, Georgia, Oregon, that wasn't even close. It was 49-3. Absolute massacre. And that shows you how bad the Pac-12 is in comparison to the SEC. It's not even the same ballpark. And then Utah loses to the Florida Gators. So now the Pac-12's two only hopefuls are completely out. The Pac-12's already erased. Maybe you have USC, but USC didn't even look that great. It's a mess over here on the West Coast.
I mean, what happens if they lose the first game, but then they just run the table? The
It
rest
can happen, but I mean, those teams look so overmatched with SEC teams. Like, it wasn't even close to me. Like, even like Florida, the Florida Utah game was pretty close, but Florida is not like an Alabama or anything.
Yeah.
They have a Heisman hopeful in their quarterback. I think Anthony Richardson, I believe his name is.
Huh. Okay.
But yeah, it was super apparent. And then, of course, the college football playoff format was just announced that might happen in 2024. 12 teams in the playoffs are coming soon. And we'll get into that next time.
Yeah, but that's that we're going to get into. Okay, we're going to cut to our first commercial break. We're talking NFL events and games, famous ones. Go all the way back to 1978. And I remember watching this game live and going, what? What just happened here? Okay. This quarterback, all he had to do to win the game was kneel down and run out the clock. Instead, a handoff was called from the sidelines. The quarterback attempted to give the ball to Larry Zonka, but it was fumbled and ran back for the winning score by a future NFL head coach. Now, the question is, who was that quarterback who basically muffed up the handoff? And I remember hearing from interviews that Larry Zonka, he was going, wait a minute, what? The call is to hand me the football? Which Larry Zonka is, he was coming from the Dolphins to this team, and there's no reason there should have been a handout, but the coach for this team.
It's been one of the great cautionary tales in NFL history.
You remember this?
What you don't do when you're up on the team.
Exactly. Okay. Question is, who was the quarterback who muffed up with the handoff? All right. Stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101 one more time. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with FP Santangelo Jr. and Russell Jackman. So we're talking very interesting NFL events and games. In a 1978 game, all this quarterback had to do to win the game was kneel down and run out the clock. Instead, a handoff was called from the sidelines. The quarterback attempted to give the ball to Larry Zonka, but it was fumbled and ran back for the winning score by a future NFL head coach. Who was the quarterback who muffed up that handoff? And extra points if you can give us the NFL coach a future NFL coach who ran it back for a winning score.
Well, I'm pretty sure it was Bob Greasy.
No, because you're thinking of when Zonka was with the Dolphins. This was when he got traded to the Giants.
I don't know.
Joe Pisarcik. Okay, so now who was the winning? Who was the guy who ran it back for the winning score? Wasn't that Herm Edwards?
You're on me. I don't remember. I have the wrong quarterback. So
yeah, that's okay. All right. So one quick thing here: the Rams and Bengals had a joint practice, and apparently there was a brawl. Of course, you're talking the two Super Bowl teams from last year. Helmets were swung at each other. Apparently, the NFL is kind of saying, well, this is a joint practice, so it's not really a real game, and we're not going to do any penalties.
Yeah, Aaron Donald was the only one that swung the helmet, by the way. The most predominant NFL player not named Tom Brady.
Exactly.
So the NFL kind of went, it's up to you guys if you want to suspend him. I don't think it'd be good, though, for ratings if you did. And they're like, no, I think we're going to keep our best player, so we're not going to suspend him.
Yeah.
That went down.
So my question is, it's one thing to have like a little bit of a mini shoving match, but when a guy takes his helmet, and I like Aaron Donald, so there's nothing personal to him, but when a guy takes takes a helmet off, and I think it seemed like it was like he grabbed a Bengals helmet too. I mean, I don't know if he had two different helmets with him, but swinging a helmet at somebody, does that kind of like push it over the line? Should there have been something?
Well, as Adam Schefter is famously known for saying, that is the definition of assault, and you can charge somebody for assault for swinging a helmet. It's a use of force with a deadly weapon. It's like if a baseball.
Yeah, but we never see it. It's that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That sort of thing is never called in the pros. I mean, remember the Clemente bat?
Yeah.
That was. And hockey, guys are using hockey sticks.
Yeah. Well, Juan Marichal famously,
So,
sort
I
of.
mean, I think it's,
yeah. But that's the thing is, if somebody got really, really hurt,
yeah,
maybe that's when they would have really kind of stepped it up.
Yeah, I think if somebody dies or has like permanent brain damage from somebody swinging a baseball bat at someone or doing this or doing that, and
Yeah.
it's clearly assault. Like the guy's angry, he's going after someone. Yeah, I feel like that's a grounds of like an oak. Like I don't know, Russ would know. He's the lawyer here, but I feel like you could definitely charge somebody with assault, especially with all the cameras around. There's tons of evidence.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, really. And it's at the workplace.
well, but there's
Exactly.
also an assumed risk. There's also an assumed risk that when you play these sports, guys are carrying, sticks or they're carrying bats or
Yeah, but they're using it in a way that's not supposed to be used, though, right?
yeah, but a criminal charge has never been filed against anyone, even in egregious situations, because usually the penalties that are enforced within the sport itself are enough to get people to behave, and most courts feel like, okay, well, if you're fined, $1 million or you're suspended for 10 to 12 games, you see in the most part that the courts don't get involved. I mean, look at Deshaun Watson as another good example.
Yeah. Russ, I'm going to get back to you next commercial break, but I'm pretty sure someone's been arrested before in the minor leagues for using their bat as a weapon.
In the minors.
In the minor leagues.
In the minors, but it's never happened in the pros, because again, they look at the pros as being the professional organizations as being sort of the law enforcement, so to speak.
The minor leagues, though, is a professional sports league, though, and they are an umbrella of the larger organization. So I'll get back to you. I'll get back to you on it.
Good point. Yeah, because I remember Juan Marichal. It was famous that there was an inside pitch to him back in the days when they used to pitch the pitchers.
It was a way different sport. You can actually slide into people at second base and break up double plays. It was a lot more fun, honestly.
Yeah, the same thing coming into home. Now after pretty much after his Buster Posey.
The Buster Posey rule.
Yeah.
And it's actually a Chase Utley rule too, because Chase Utley slid into somebody in second base and really hurt as well. So.
Wow.
The Buster Posey / Chase Utley rule: can't slide late, can't break up anything.
It's like, and football, there's been I can see the scores just going through the roof because there's just so many defensive things you can't do.
Yeah.
At
Sports
some point,
it's the numbers show that if you score more points, people tune in.
Yeah, and I get that. It is more exciting to see more offense than defense from except for the '85 Bears. That was kind of fun because they were such a huge defensive team.
So we teased the college football playoffs, and I want to get into the format real quick. So it's been approved by the NCAA that college football is expanding to a 12-team playoff system, maybe as early as 2024, all right, but for sure by 2026. And I'm looking right here, the TV rights deals spread amongst all the major corporations can net up to $2 billion extra dollars a year just from these playoff games. So that's, if you're wondering why they're doing this, it's for money. Sports Econ 101.
Sure. Well,
how the format's going to work, let me just get into this real quick. So the first 4 teams don't have to play. They all have byes, and then 5 through 12 play each other, and then the next round they'll play the first 4 teams.
Okay. So the thing I like about it, in fact, even when they finally came out with a BCS championship game, is before it was kind of weird. You'd have so many different teams, so many different, Pac-10, Big 8, and all that kind of stuff, right? Big 10. And what ended up happening was, the teams never played each other to see who was really, and so you have this vote. Who's the best team? And it's like, well, that's not really fair.
Oh, I hated that. Don't you think that we're gonna get to a point where we may see divisionless football in college? That where it's you're not gonna have even bowl games matter anymore to these colleges, and it's gonna be all about the tournament.
There's too much money there's too much money, I think, in that.
Yeah, in the bowl
I hate bowl games. I hate bowl games. I count me as the exception, but I can't stand them. I really want to see the bowl system eliminated.
You know, it's funny, when I was a kid, you had, you know, the Sugar Bowl, the Cotton Bowl, and the Rose Bowl, and the Orange Bowl, and I think that was it. And now they got about like 75 different bowl games, you know.
And they're so meaningless. They're so meaningless.
Yeah.
You have teams that are barely over 500
Yeah.
facing each other, you know, and in matchups that you wouldn't watch on a regular weekend if they were happening.
Yeah.
But because it's a bowl game, you're supposed to, you know, get up at 4 a.m. and turn on your TV and stand an inch away from it. And it's like, I have no excitement. I can't tell you, let's put it this way. I can't tell you the winner of any of the bowl games from last year. Tell me,
point,
just ask me Rose Bowl. I don't remember who won it. It's Ohio State. I don't know.
So 2 things.
You know,
I used to love bowl games because more football is always a great thing, right? You could just like turn on the TV. Oh, there's a bowl game. It's bowl game season. That's cool. Whatever. I'll just have it in the background while I'm cooking dinner or something.
Sure.
But then when the good bowl games came, you'd want to tune into those.
Yeah.
Now the NFL talent is just going straight to the draft. They're sitting out and they're not playing these games.
Yes.
Right? Which completely ruins it for me. Right?
Yeah.
It ruins the competition because their best players are not even playing in it.
Yeah.
And it's become so watered down. But I will say, like, little bowls like the Cheez-It Bowl, where like there's no NFL talent on both teams, they're both going at it.
Yeah.
That's great. That's cool. But now the guys are sitting out. I have less interest for sure. So maybe this new playoff format helps.
Yeah.
But guys, the real conversation we need to have here is who the hell is beating Alabama, Georgia, and Ohio State? Like
nobody.
Who? Like nobody. This college football playoff format is cute.
Vanderbilt.
Right? Cool.
Vanderbilt.
Yeah. It's cute. You saw Oregon and Utah, who you thought were going to be 2 great Pac-12 teams, get beat. Oregon got embarrassed. They got disgraced.
Did I say that Oregon was going to be a great team? Because I don't remember saying that.
No. Well, no, they thought they were going to be a good team because they had one of the highest recruiting classes last year and this year too. So they're supposed to be good this season. I think they're ranked 11th.
So let me ask you: is the reason that the big talent doesn't play? I got to think, one, they don't want to get hurt, and that'll just ruin their career. And two, if they're already kind of set, playing well is not going to really help them, but playing poorly might hurt them.
Yes.
So, I mean,
Injury too. Injury
is mostly the thing. Yeah. Hey guys, we're going to get to our second trivia question here. All right. In a 1985 Monday Night Football game, Redskins quarterback Joe Theismann took a flea flicker lateral from John Riggins, but before he could deliver the ball downfield, he was hit by 2 superb defenders. On replay, viewers saw one of the most gruesome sights ever shown to football fans. Yep. Theismann suffered a very nasty compound fracture to his leg. But he went back in there to finish the game. No, I'm just kidding. The injury ended the quarterback's career. Who were the 2 defenders who combined for this memorable sack? 2 of them. And I think everyone always remembers one, but they might have forgotten the second one. All right, stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown, FP Santangelo Jr., and Russell Jackman here. I guess Vern must have taken the day off. Let's see here. In a 1985 Monday Night Football game, Redskins quarterback Joe Theismann took a flea flicker lateral from John Riggins, but before he could deliver the ball downfield, he was hit, by 2 superb defenders. On replay, viewers saw one of the most gruesome sights ever shown to football fans. Theismann suffered a very nasty compound fracture to his leg. This injury ended the quarterback's career. Who were the 2 defenders who combined for this memorable sack?
Was Marshall one of them?
No. Okay, so it was against the Giants. Who
was it? Lawrence Taylor.
Yes, Lawrence Taylor. And so Lawrence Taylor was one. He put his hand onto his head like, oh my gosh, look at this guy.
But that's what I remember. That's what I remember.
Okay, so you remember that, but you don't remember the second guy.
Man, Bert?
No, Henry Carson.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Did you know that Joe Theismann's actual last name is Thiesman?
Oh, Thiesman.
It was pronounced Thiesman.
Is that right?
And he changed it to Theismann because it rhymed with Heisman.
No way.
Oh, you know what's funny?
Yeah.
I'm looking at how you spell his name, and it really is Thiesman. But yeah, nobody calls him Thiesman. It's Theismann.
No, he told everyone that his last name should be pronounced Theismann because it rhymes with Heisman.
Theismann. I didn't know that. That's pretty good.
Speaking of
He said-
Edward Brown, do you know
Yeah.
about the Brown brothers, the Saint Brown brothers that play in the NFL, the receivers? They changed their name to
there-
Saint Brown.
Well, there was Eddie Brown, who was a great return kicker. But no, go ahead.
And Tim Brown.
I'm talking about Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's a wide receiver. So there's these three brothers in the NFL that are all wide receivers because their dad is – it's kind of a nut, but he's a really good coach. So he's got three sons in the NFL. He changed his last name to St. Brown because it's more marketable. And then he named his kids these ridiculous, like, historical names, like Amon-Ra St. Brown, like Egyptian god. Like all these crazy things. They market his sons. And you know what? It works because I remembered it. So
Very, very good. It's like George Foreman naming his 6 boys all George. That way, when you say, "Hey George, take out the garbage," at least one of them will answer. Yeah,
Smart.
I think. So
he even named his daughter Georgina.
yeah,
I remember that.
there's no.
And why? Okay, here's
No
the
ego.
question: if you are going to name your daughter after yourself, and your name is George, why don't you name your daughter Georgia or Georgette? You know, why would you name her Georgina, which is just,
You're right.
I've never heard a girl called Georgina before in my entire life.
Georgia is good. Georgette, that's kind of a neat name. I like that.
Sure, but Georgina, oh my God. You're
So
just
funny, when you say Georgette, I
lifetime.
think of his dog, Astro, George Jetson. You know?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
FP,
of
you know
course.
the cartoon.
The other thing, though, is that then
Oh, yeah.
then you know you're taking out George Foreman's daughter. Who wants to come home and say who wants to go meet George Foreman and say, "I'm dating your daughter"? How scary a first meeting would that be?
Even when he's 90, it's still going to be scary.
Oh yeah, oh yes,
Yeah, in fact, wasn't his last boxing match? He was like 60.
yeah. He was still fighting like a couple tin cans. Like
Yeah.
in his, and look, you never know when Evander Holyfield is going to get back in the ring.
True.
And they've got that new Mike Tyson movie that's coming out. Are you
Yeah,
guys gonna see that?
The Mike, I haven't seen it, but Mike says he's very upset. It wasn't realistic. You know, what's interesting was I was watching a thing about Muhammad Ali, which is very interesting. It was kind of his career. It was like one of those documentary things. And when they got to him fighting George Foreman, I think that was the Thrilla in Manila. The problem was George didn't train the right way because George Foreman was just a beast. I think he would have pummeled Muhammad if it was.
See, FP, once upon a time there was a thing called boxing that people watched. And
Hey, I like
it
boxing
really
a lot.
entertained people.
I went to Oscar De La Hoya versus, I think it was Pacquiao or something like that.
Probably,
I
man.
forget
Manny
who-
Pacquiao?
Yeah,
Wow.
I went to one of those. It was in Sacramento or something like that. It was really weird. But
Big one. So you guys are not into the MMA fighting?
oh yeah,
I
love
am.
it. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
I
love it.
am.
It's good.
yeah. I mean, I
But
gotta say
when
that,
we talk MMA, but when we talk MMA with me, I'm talking Hoist Gracie, and I'm talking Ken Shamrock, and I'm talking about Dan Severin, and I'm talking about Coleman. These are guys that are probably beyond the frame of reference of FP. He
No, I
probably
know those
doesn't know
guys.
any of these.
yeah,
I
you
know
You
didn't-
do? Okay.
Yeah, Gracie family is like the royalty of MMA. I know that, and then Shamrock, all those guys. I've watched videos.
You want to hear something funny?
Okay, well, good.
Many years ago, my wife and I took a little trip to Vegas just for fun, whatever. And we like to go to the gym. So I go to the gym and I see this like entourage of like 6 guys surrounding this one guy and kind of going, what's the deal here, right? You know, kind of sort of snickering inside. Because I'm thinking, what's the guy needed? Why does he need protection? I mean, this guy looks like he kind of could take care of himself. And then we go, it was one of those kind of weird situations, just kind of coincidentally, I just happened to go into the sauna and there's all those guys. And I had to ask, I go, okay, what's the deal, guys? You know, and I figured I'm old enough, they're not going to beat the heck out of me, you know? I'm just asking them a question and they said, oh, you know, this guy, he's fighting tomorrow, this MMA fighting. And I go, well, you know, what's MMA fighting? And because I go, that must be a new sport. And he goes, oh, well, yeah, it's fairly new. I said, well, is there any money in it? He goes, well, first prize is like $1 million. I go, holy smokes, you know? And that was back then. I mean, hardly anybody even knew what MMA was.
And who was the fighter? Who was the fighter?
Unfortunately, I can't remember. Chuck Liddell.
Oh.
No, it wasn't him.
I did meet Lennox Lewis at a Residence Inn in Sacramento. He was just he was having breakfast, and my parents were actually staying there. And I went to visit my parents, and he had just fought the night before, and I was like, you know, I was thinking Lennox Lewis would stay at the Hilton or the Hyatt in downtown.
Yeah.
But instead, he was at the Residence Inn.
There you go.
And I was like, there's no way this is Lennox Lewis.
Yeah.
And my friend was like, no, that's really Lennox Lewis.
Wow.
And then, like, he was just by himself. And then an entourage of like 50 people all came around him. And then I was like, oh, well, it wouldn't be just an ordinary guy if it wasn't Lennox Lewis. So
True.
I did actually go up and shake his hand. And what surprised me, the two things, was he wasn't very tall. Okay, built like a brick house.
Sure.
I think I'm as tall as he is, and I'm 5'10". But he had the softest hands of any athlete I have ever touched.
Well, you got to think they're constantly wrapped and put in gloves. It's this is kind of funny. Back in the 90s, I was in San Jose for something, and staying in a hotel. And again, same sort of thing. I see this one guy, and I see like these 6 guys just sort of corral him as they're walking, and I'm kind of snickering because I'm thinking, this is like, you know, in San Jose, it's no big deal, right? And so I asked the guy who was behind the counter, I go, well, who is this guy, you know? And he goes, I don't know, some guy named Puff Daddy or something. I was literally the beginning of his career, but he was just starting to make it up the ladder. Yeah. Then go in.
You probably have a million of these stories.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, my favorite story kind of like that was when I had to run the other way in Florida, spring training. FP Senior was trying to make the Yankee squad in 2002, and I go up the reverse way on an elevator to go meet Derek Jeter. And I just remember I was like a 9-year-old kid, and I met Derek Jeter, and he was just it was in a mall, so. It was a mall, and he was just surrounded by like 100 women, like screaming and crying, like, "It's Derek Jeter!" Oh my God. and then when he shook my hand, he's like, "Hey, nice to meet you, son." Like all the girls screamed and cried out because I was like a little boy, and it's like he's meeting a little boy, and they thought it was the cutest thing. I just remember that vividly. Such a weird situation, but yeah, there's
You're
like
9 years old, so this was last year.
Give him credit. He's a man now. He's not a little boy. He's a man.
I looked it up for you. I have to say there was one minor league brawl incident that led to an arrest, a felony charge. So
wow, was it a baseball bat?
Wow, okay.
Yeah,
I did not
back
know.
in June 24th, 2008, in Class A Penoria.
Wow.
So,
Must have been with a baseball bat.
No, it got into the stands. That's why. And then fans certainly got hit by extraneous punches that weren't meant for them. So that's when it started to get into like a big thing.
What about
You remember the Malice in the Palace?
That's what I was just getting at. Malice in the Palace. Yeah. I mean,
I remember that.
On our test. Panda Friend. That's what he's going by now.
Wait, what's his name now?
Ron Artest.
Well, no,
he is now Panda Friend. He is now known as Panda's Friend.
Panda's Friend? Like panda,
yes.
like the panda bear?
Sandoval, yeah, but it has nothing to do with Pablo Sandoval.
I thought it was Meta World Peace for a long time.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, it was, and he changed it again.
Now, did you say panda with a P?
Yeah, PANDAFRIEND.
Panda Friend.
Did.
Yeah. He may have changed it back to World Peace, but it was for a while. He was Panda Friend for. Look, I mean, whatever goes on in Ron Artest's head is like amusement park on acid. I mean, nobody knows what the hell's going on in there.
So he changed it just for one season when he was playing in China, and then he changed it back to Meta World Peace.
Oh,
back in 2014. It was back.
Yeah, they love pandas.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
With all this stuff going on in foreign countries, I'd be scared to play in any Like look at
Hey,
Brittany.
Rodman wants to go over and rescue Brittany Griner.
And they'll probably grab him and go, okay, great. Now we got a second.
Please
No.
keep him.
Don't
I think that's a fair trade.
That's a fair trade.
Yeah.
Well, hey, he'll get his friend, Kim Jong-yong, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll give him a couple of draft picks. We'll give him Rodman and a couple of draft picks.
Draft picks. All right. I know, FP, you were bringing up Donovan Mitchell to the Cavs.
Yeah,
He's a good guy.
Pretty crazy. So
Utah is going to suck this year. My prediction is the worst team in the NBA will be the Utah Jazz.
Really?
I'll say
Yes.
it's the Oklahoma City Thunder just because they lost their first round draft pick to a season-ending injury. But I like that, Russ. They're probably going to be one of the worst teams now. They're
Tell me who the star on the Utah Jazz is right now.
Okay, that's not Rudy Gobert anymore.
No, and it's not Donovan Mitchell. You know, they had to choose between one of those two players, and they wind up with neither one. That to me is not great management.
No.
Well, they just saw, guys, that they weren't going to win with what they had, right? And they can't win in the West. So they've had all these really good teams. They were like a 1 seed at one point, I believe. Just couldn't get the job done. They just never made it far in the playoffs. So they're just going for a complete tear down and rebuild. And, you know, there's a lot of success in that sometimes. And they truly believe that they could draft well. But Donovan Mitchell to the Cleveland Cavaliers kind of came out of left field for me. I didn't really see it coming. I thought he was going to go to the Knicks or something because he's a huge New York sports fan.
But the Knicks thought. It's what Knicks fans thought, and they're all mad now.
He's a huge – Donovan Mitchell is known to be a huge baseball fan, a huge Mets fan. But that's besides the point. I thought – or the Miami Heat were a favorite too. And he would have been great on the Heat because the Heat are really lacking that huge superstar besides Jimmy Butler, who's kind of like – I wouldn't say he's a superstar, but he's a star in his own right.
Yeah.
But the Cavs now look like a team that can seriously compete, and they were scrappy last year, and they had a bunch of young guys, and they overperformed. So this is actually pretty exciting stuff.
Okay, hey, guys, wait, quick commercial break. Sorry, guys. Hey, in probably the greatest comeback and win in NFL history, Frank Wright, subbing for Buffalo Bills, Jim Kelly, led the Bills to an overtime playoff victory after being down 35-3 in the second half. Who was the Bills' opposition that day, January 3rd, 1993? Stay with us.
Already spoiled.
101, we'll be right back with some closing comments. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with FP Santangelo Jr. and Russell Jackman. Third trivia question, and probably the greatest comeback win in NFL history. Frank Wright, subbing for Buffalo Bills starter Jim Kelly, led the Bills to an overtime playoff victory after being down 35-3 early in the second half. And I was rooting against the Bills, but that was very disappointing for me. Who was the Bills' opposition that day?
Houston Oilers.
Houston Oilers. Houston Oilers number one. I hated that song. It was the stupidest.
Oilers. Houston Oilers.
Houston Oilers number one.
Yeah,
I mean, that was what.
I watched every minute of that game. I got to tell you. I watched every minute of it, and it proves to me when the announcers say, don't watch any more of this game, it's over, it's done. Yeah. That is a game you don't ever want to leave.
If you go back to the highlights, the Houston Oilers defensive back, and I don't know who it was, he just seemed to let the wide receivers just catch the balls, no matter where they were.
It was one of the most amazing second halves by a guy that you've never even heard of.
Yeah.
Frank Wright.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and he really didn't do much else with his career.
No, except for now he's the coach of who's he coaching? Is it the Titans? No. The Panthers? He's an NFL
coach. It's truly how one half of football can make your NFL career if you do the right thing.
That is for sure. Okay, guys, we're gonna here's our thought.
Colts.
Oh, the Colts. That's right. That's right. He's with the Colts. Okay. Here's our thoughts for the day. How did the pig stop sunbathing? Why did the pig stop sunbathing? He was baking in the sun, of course.
Something about bacon.
Of course it has to be about bacon.
Didn't have enough time to form the answer, but
that's right.
I knew it was coming.
What health issue did the golfer have? and iron deficiency. Okay, and with that, tune in next week to Sports Econ 101, where we'll be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and asking more sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week. So long.
Adios.